Hello, everyone. So, this isn't going to be like part of. Let me move my mic a little closer here to see if I can talk without dropping it or clipping or something. Okay, there we go. Oh, talk to you later, Sam. All right, so yeah, this is not going to be part. I turn my lights on, man. This is a professional operation. What was I saying? Yeah. So this is not going to be like necessary to complete the course. This isn't going to be a video where we're going to be doing any of the assignments. This isn't going to be a walkthrough for any of the quests. During the introductory video, we got started, and during the introduction video, we got started, we got the client going, we got it configured, we were able to connect, and then we completed the first assignment where we got the fire spell, and then we left the cave, started walking around. We found Major Payne, who is selling guns, and we noticed that we need Pwn coins in order to buy things. That's our currency in the game. And I mentioned that one of the first things I like to do, kind of in the recon phase, but you know, just in general when playing around, is I like to see if I can identify certain key variables and then adjust them, just to kind of test things out. You know, see how things are maybe structured inside the game. And in particular, what I like to do is I like to give myself I like to basically give myself money, you know, or whatever. So we're gonna try and do some of that stuff today. You could consider this kind of like a recon video because this is going to be me getting all my tools in place, and we're going to be importing the binary and stuff, and just kind of you know, looking around. So you could kind of consider this maybe a introduction part 2, because of course when we get to later on, we're talking about actually doing the assignments. I'm not going to be talking about setting up Ghidra and stuff. So. Let me pause my video here so I can reply to Sam, and we'll be right back with you. Okay, I am back, and I'm at 34 FPS, and I'm at a 25 millisecond delay here, and it's bouncing around. I don't know how well this is going to look for you guys, but I guess we'll press on. All right, so back to what we were doing. Again, this class, we're doing this to an MMO. Just to be clear, as far as ethically, my personal position is that I am a firm believer in your right to modify, your right to repair. I believe that when you own something, you should be allowed to do whatever you want to it. You should be able to go out to the store, buy a toaster, and disassemble it. Put in a Bluetooth receiver if you want to. Soup up the heating coils, replace them with something, you know, more durable that can handle a higher heat. That should be your right, in my opinion. As long as you're not hurting somebody else, of course. We live in America, so everyone has civil liberties. And so as long as you're not doing something that violates somebody else's civil liberties, then there should be no problem with that. Now, the argument against your right to modify, of course, is that when you modify a product, you are violating the inventor's civil liberties by infringing on their intellectual property. I don't buy that, which is why I don't. My personal ethos has no problem with it. Now, we are doing this in an MMO style. And that is practically different than modding an offline game. If this were a single-player offline game, my opinion would be mod it to your heart's content. Go in there, break it, develop your own trainers, do whatever you want to do, because that's half the fun for me of getting something, is being able to do stuff with it. But for an online game, if you're modding and you're hacking, of course, that does mean that you are affecting other people's experience with the game, and that's pretty lame. So I would just, before we get started here, actually doing things in earnest, I would encourage all of you to just take a moment and please do not do this to any actual online games. I know that it might be tempting once you know how to do this stuff to do speed hacks and aim bots and stuff like that, but don't, because that's super lame and you're just ruining the game for other people. It doesn't make you, you're not actually good when you do those things, and as you're going to learn throughout this course, it's really not that hard to do. So it's not like It's not like you're proving that you're smarter or better than everybody else by being able to do this. You're just ruining the game for other people. That's really all it is. All right, so the tools that I've got right now, I've got Ghidra. Ghidra is an open source decompiler. It was developed and released by the NSA. It is written in Java, which I don't like. It is written and distributed by the NSA, which I don't like. But whenever I'm teaching, I like to use open source tools. Think of it like if you're a graphic design student and you go to college and the only tools that you're ever using in class are going to be Photoshop and Illustrator and Lightbox or whatever. Then when you graduate, the only thing you know how to use are those tools, and you have to go out and buy them if you want to keep learning and keep practicing. But those are very, very expensive. Now, I could say, you know, in this course, for example, any course where we're going to be doing any reverse engineering, go out and buy yourself a copy of IDA Pro or Binary Ninja or something like that. But then I would be setting you up sort of in the same position. I'm setting you up to a point where I'm teaching you things, but you're going to forget because you're not going to be able to continue using them after you lose access to those tools when you're done here at the university. So I like to use open source tools, even if they're not necessarily the ideal tool for any situation. Now, Ghidra definitely fits that bucket. Ghidra is a perfectly competent product, but it has drawbacks in that it's, number one, written in Java, which means you need to make sure that you have your JRE and everything up. It can make installation a little bit more of a pain in that regard. And it is, of course, distributed by the NSA, and I'm not going to tell you that by installing this, the NSA will be spying on you, but I'm also not going to tell you that. I don't know. It could be. But we're going to use it if you have access to another tool that you prefer, IDA Pro, Binary Ninja, any number of other disassemblers out there. You be my guest. Use whatever you want. My point is that rather than treating this like it's a vocational school and teaching you to use Photoshop, what I'm going to do is we're going to learn on an open source tool. Like if we were learning graphic design, I would teach you on GIMP so that we could basically learn the principles that would allow you to use any tool you want. So essentially, my purpose, my position, when it comes to open source education, is that I'm not teaching you how to use a tool. I'm teaching you how to make a tool work to accomplish a task. So we're going to be using open source tools, but you don't have to use this tool if you have something else that you prefer. You can still accomplish these goals with anything else that you may have available to you. That said, if you don't know what you're doing, you're better off sticking with the tools that I'm using simply because they are free, for one, and for two, because then you can follow along directly with what I'm doing and you don't have to try and see, okay, well, then how do I do this in IDA? And I'm not going to be able to teach you, to help every individual student with your own specific tool set. If you're using Ghidra, then I can help you. I also have Cheat Engine here. This is Cheat Engine 7.2. This is freeware, but you should note that if you're installing this, you're going to want to make sure you pay attention to the installation process, because I do recall it prompted me to install some bloatware. It asked me for, there was two of them. It was Avast was one of them, and I can't remember what the other one is. You should know you don't have to install those for Cheat Engine to work. It's just a bundle. I don't know why people are still bundling these kinds of things in this day and age, because the only time anyone ever accepts that is when they don't notice that it's being installed, and that's kind of scummy, if you ask me. I mean, I understand why people do it, but that shouldn't be the way these things are set up. That shouldn't be the economics of software distribution, in my opinion. Easy for me to say, right? So make sure you pay careful attention during the installation process. Do not agree to those unless you truly want them. In my opinion, if you do see that Avast is bundled in there and you say, wow, I could really use Avast, I still wouldn't install it via the Cheat Engine installation binary. I would actually go to Avast and download it directly from them and then run it. You gotta be careful, right? So just be aware of that. And then the last thing I've got here, of course, is in the background, we have our game client, which is running. If you watched the introduction video, you noticed that I created a character, and we got into the game. Well, just so you know, since then, I've decided instead to use an admin character. I thought that admin characters would not be able to do the quests and stuff, but I created one just so that I could have a backup admin character in case I needed to help somebody. And I noticed that really, other than having access to a console, which I don't even know how to open. I just read the documentation. It said that the admins have the ability to open a console to teleport around and stuff. It doesn't tell me how to open it, and it doesn't give me any commands. So other than that, it's a standard user account, except admins get a choice between two other skins, a man in a top hat and a man in a police uniform. So of course I went with the top hat. So if you are watching the videos from now on, you notice that I have a different avatar. It's because I decided to switch to this admin account because it's effectively no different, except I get a top hat, and that's better, obviously, in every way. Oh my God, look at this. I have no idea if you're even seeing any of this. All of my OBS is red. My frames missed, my average time to render, my FPS, all on the red. All right, this is going to be part one. This is just our introduction to this part. What we're going to do next is we are going to do some static analysis in Ghidra, and then we're going to see if we can start poking around in Cheat Engine and find where our variables reside and start seeing if we can make some alterations there. All right.